So it's almost been a year since Deontay Wilder last stepped inside a boxing ring, and on October 15th, the hardest puncher in the boxing world is making his long-awaited return against his former sparring partner. Against WBC's number 4 rated contender, Robert Helenius. And in this video, we'll see what he can bring against the most lethal heavyweight on the planet. But first, a little bit of context. That WBC's former heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder is coming off back-to-back losses to its current champion, Tyson Fury. And after a year off the ring, the Alabama Slayer is now inspired to resurrect his career. Therefore, a fight to get his confidence back is the first step. Enters his next opponent, the Nordic Nightmare, Robert Helenius. But who is he? Well, without going into too much details, Robert Helenius has had a long up and down journey in boxing. His career started with promise, but quickly nosedived after Frenchman Johan Duopa handed him his first pro defeat. His career went on a tailspin over the next 4 years, but in 2020, he's matched up against undefeated prospect Adam Kownacki that he upsets in 4 rounds and 6 rounds in a rematch a year and a half later, leading up to his showdown with the former champion. And when looking at the 6'7" bald-headed Finnish fighter, you can pretty much guess what Wilder had in mind when he chose to fight him. Well, if I couldn't beat Tyson Fury, might as well try against someone who looks like him. This so reminds me of Tyson in his first fight right after losing to Douglas. He took on Henry Tillman, a guy who beat him twice in the amateurs, and he just destroyed him in the first round, as if he was erasing the memory of his first pro defeat. That's what Helenius is about. He's a beatable looking version of Tyson Fury. But does it also mean he doesn't stand a chance at all? Well, this kind of feels like beating a dead horse making a video about who's gonna win this one, but I'm not gonna waste your time. No, I don't think Helenius stands a chance, and you all seem to converge on that idea. Helenius is Wilder's former sparring partner, and there have been some who managed to beat their old boss.
Red Bull used to be my sparring partner.
But they were usually much younger, undefeated heavyweights on the rise. Helenius is 38 years old. That's 2 years older than Wilder. And granted, he was impressive in his last 2 outings, but I felt that his height and reach, along with Kownacki's lack of defense, worked to his advantage when fighting on the outside. Wilder's defense isn't good either, but his talent far exceeds Kownacki's. And Helenius isn't strong enough to back him up, which so far is the only proven way to defeat him. Even in the unlikely event Helenius produces the same feat as Tyson Fury, the focus will be on Wilder being finished rather than Helenius getting credit. And since we're touching on the subject, I don't even think this fight can answer the main question we all have in mind about Wilder. And that question is, how much his losses to Fury have taken out of him. Unlike any other fights in his career, Wilder took a lot of punishment. 58 power punches in the second fight and nearly doubled that in the third. To be honest, after watching this, I was hoping he wouldn't step inside a boxing ring again. Cause if there's one thing history has taught us in boxing, is that you don't walk out of those tough, grueling fights toll-free. Many fighters who fought brutally or suffered devastating losses in the past, especially after giving their all, left a part of themselves in the ring, and the result of it would often reveal dramatically. Think of Razor Ruddock when he fought Lennox Lewis after losing twice to Mike Tyson, or Riddick Bowe against Andrew Golota right after his trilogy fights against Evander Holyfield. I don't think Helenius compares with this guy's talent, but Wilder's 2 beatings against Tyson Fury do. And in 15-20 years, I don't want him to sound like this.
Did you ever knock out Darty Bowles, baby boy? No, you knocked Darty Bowles, baby boy, down. And when I got out, what I do? Ow! I got it right there.
Gosh, this is sad. And if Helenius isn't the man to expose the after effect of those losses, other fighters might be more suited for the task. Now, just like every opponent is faced, it's just a matter of time before Wilder lands the right hand and knocks down whoever is in front of him. And given that Helenius couldn't get back up from lesser punchers, it's even harder to imagine against the biggest puncher in the division. So does it mean that we're in for an early knockout? Not really. Both fighters have a similar tactical style, which consists of staying on the outside to set up their shots. And they're both usually tentative at the beginning of a fight, so I don't expect Helenius to walk into a right hand right away. Besides, if Wilder wants to showcase what he's been working on over the past few months and let people know he's an improved fighter, it'll take more than 1 or 2 rounds. So unless Helenius tries to pressure him right off the bat and gets caught doing it, it's safe to say we might get a few rounds. But speaking of an improved fighter, as much as I've come to appreciate Wilder for what he brings to boxing, especially after his last fight, my opinion of him as a boxer hasn't changed. He still can't box. Now take that with a grain of salt. Of course he can box, but his boxing skills are crude and his defense weak.
Wilder coming back on the 15th. Is it hard to come back from a KO loss and still be
No, what
yourself?
is hard to come back is you gotta learn how to fucking box before you come back.
And no matter how many rounds he claims he has done in training, I don't expect him, especially at 36 years old and at this stage in his career, to get more technically sound. And just like somebody once said,
can a fighter change his style this late in the game?
I thought that he can change it in the gym, but once he gets into the heat of battle and gets hit, he's very subject to go back to what he knows best.
Okay.
Some of you might say that he was better in the third fight against Fury, but he wasn't really. He had a different strategy by going to the body, which lasted only one round before he went back headhunting. So don't expect any miracles there. I think Helenius will most likely outbox him and gets his share of rounds. He has a very good jab and can put combinations better than Wilder, who relies more on his famous 1-2. Still, in the end, the Bronze Bomber will always be one right hand away from victory. I just hope we'll be past the 6th round though, cause I bought a ticket to see the fight, and just like everybody else, I just want my money's worth. But anyways, I'm looking forward to a spectacular knockout for the return of the Bronze Bomber, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
To this day!